In this video, we are going to discuss the third chapter in how to attack the opponent's king, which is the sacrifices. Sacrifices are always essential in order to input a very strong attack. So we are going to discuss 6 critical diagrams to help you improve your game and take your knowledge to 100%. So I don't want to waste any further time, so let's quickly jump into the video. So we have the first diagram on our board. We are playing with the white pieces, and now I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to continue this position? Okay, so first of all, you are having all your pieces into the game, both the rooks, both the queen, the bishop. So it looks like black's position is already very losing. So how can you continue the game? So if you found the move rook into f7, trying to sacrifice the rook, it's not really working because the h7 is already protected by the knight. But if you thought the move bishop into g6, this is a very strong move and it works. After bishop into g6, black is having 3 ways to capture the bishop, but unfortunately all 3 moves are losing the game. Because first, if h into g6, queen h8 is a mate in 1. If f into g6, we simply capture the knight, taking away the h7 defender, and after rook takes, queen into h7, and it's checkmate. And if at the place of capturing the bishop with the pawn, if black captures with the knight via knight into g6, still queen into h7 check, king f8, and simply queen into f7, game is over, it's a checkmate. So this was the diagram number 1 in how can you simply sacrifice your piece in order to checkmate your opponent. Just simply calculate everything, and whenever you are having maximum pieces, all your pieces into the game to attack the black king, to attack your opponent's king, just try to think of some sacrifice that can work in your game, and eventually you are going to win the game. So this was the diagram number 1, so now let's move on to the diagram number 2. So we have the diagram number 2 on our board. We are playing with the black pieces this time, and I want again all of you guys to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to continue this position if you are playing with the black pieces? Okay, so all of those who have found the move bishop into h2, check, brilliant, it's the best move. First of all those who think that queen h5 can work, maybe trying to put more pressure on this pawn, it's not really working, as white can simply play the move h3. And now if you try to put some attack via g5, idea is g4, it looks terrifying, but after knight h2, white is forcing a queen trade, and you can't do much, the position is already fine for white. That's the reason all of you who found the move bishop into h2 check, bravo. Knight into h2 is the fourth move, and now we simply play the move queen h4, because why we can't play the move queen h5 because the queen on e2 is simply covering it. So we play the move queen to h4, and now if the knight moves, we simply do a checkmate in 1. And if white plays anything else like f3, we simply capture the knight and simply checkmate because the f2 square is already covered by the knight. And if white plays anything else like queen f3, still we can simply capture the knight, and this time simply knight d2 check, we win the queen and the game is over. So this is how you can simply win this position in the diagram number 2. Sacrifice the bishop and play the move queen h5, like the one move trick. It is a very good idea, you must know, remember. So this was the diagram number 2, so now let's move on to the diagram number 3. Okay, so we have the diagram number 3 on our board. We are playing with the white pieces, and again I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to continue this position if you are playing with the white pieces? Okay, so the queen is already at a very strong place, the rook is very strong, the bishop is already very strong, eyeing on the 2 pawns. So all of those who found the move rook into f7, brilliant. The idea is pretty simple. We force black king to capture the rook, or else we are threatening mate in 1. So black is forced to capture the rook, and now we simply capture on h7 check, king to f8, and now there are many ways for white to win the game. The most natural looks like rook f1 check, where black is forced to put the knight in between, and we simply capture the queen, it's also winning. But the best is to play the move bishop into g6, threatening mate in 1, and after knight takes, we play the move rook to f1 check, not capturing the queen, because eventually it's the mate like this. The game is over. So this was the diagram number 3, how you can simply know this theme. Simply sack on f7 to get this h7 pawn, and eventually the king is extremely weak. You can just gather all your pieces and win the game. So this is how you should do it. So this was the right diagram number 3 you must remember. So now let's move on to the diagram number 4. Okay, so we have the diagram number 4 on our board. We are playing with the white pieces, and I want again all of you guys to pause the video and try to think how are you going to continue this position if you are playing with the white pieces. So it looks like white have gotten all his pieces into the game. The bishop is on action, the knight is on action, the rooks are on an action, the queen is on action. So definitely now there should be some sacrifices that should work. So all of those who think sacrifice like queen into h5, it's not really working because nothing is happening. Not a good idea. All of those who think like rook into f7 might work, it's not working as after queen into f7, bishop into g6, queen f4, we attack the rook and nothing is happening, the knight is also hanging. So black is winning the game now. So the best move, which I think you all guys must have found it, knight into g6. Pretty clever. We simply sack the knight, pawn takes, and a bishop into g6. Simply attacking the queen. The queen move, because the queen can't really enter on the f file, we can simply capture the queen. So queen d8, and now we simply capture the h5 pawn. And now we are simply threatening mate in 1. We simply sacrificed the knight and got the 3 pawns in return. And this position is completely crushing for black. Black can play the only move, which is knight f8, trying to cover the h7 square. But now comes the move, bishop to f7 check, rook into f7 is forced, queen into f7, followed by queen into g7. The game is over, it's a checkmate. This is how you do it, you simply checkmate your opponent by sacrificing the knight. As I said always, that whenever you got all your pieces into the action, there should be some sacrifice that must work. Just look for it, sacrifice the knight, get the queen into the game, you are going to win the game. So this was the 4th diagram, very important. So now let's move on to the 5th diagram. So we have the 5th diagram on our board. We are again playing with the white pieces, and again I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think how are you going to continue this position if you are playing with the white pieces. Okay, so this position is already very interesting. White has gotten his rook, knight, bishops, not allowing black to castle easily. The queen is pretty well placed. This should be something work. The king is in the center. As I said in the previous chapter, whenever there is king in the center, try to break through trying to take some advantage of that. So in this position, all of those guys who found the move, knight into f7, brilliant move, bravo. We simply attack the rook, you must capture the knight or else it's going to be game over. So king into f7, and now white can capture the pawn via rook or the bishop. It's the main thing, but it doesn't really matter because both the move wins. Rook into e6 is also winning because we have the double bishop eyeing on this diagonal. The rook covers here, the queen covers here. On the next move, we are going to simply move the rook, attacking the king, and going to win the game. This is winning. We can also play the move bishop into e6 check because everything is pretty much covered up. Black is having the 4th move, which goes on e8, and now we can simply capture the bishop in this position. King into, because it's a double check, so the king is forced to move, and now simply rook into e7 check, and we win the queen. So eventually it's winning. But the most important part here is that after bishop into e6 check, king to e8, even if we do not capture the bishop, if we simply try to play something like maybe bishop to b3 check, king move, this, practically speaking up, this position is already still pretty good for white because though white is a piece down, but the king is not having a pretty good shelter, and the king is never going to have a good shelter. Even if the king goes to a7, which looks like the safest square for the king, but still, I don't think the king is definitely safe on a7. We can play the move rook b1, putting some pressure on the b6 pawn. Black is not really safe, and we can at the same time try to push our center pawns. So this is how you should try to evaluate the position. Try to play the practical chess on the board. So this is how you should play the 5th diagram. Just find this tactic of knight into f7 check. This tactic always works whenever your opponent's king is in the center. Try to make the sacrifice work. So this was the 5th diagram. So now let's move on to the final diagram of the day, which is the 6th diagram. Okay, so we have the final diagram of the day, the 6th diagram on our board. And this diagram basically shows the common mistakes of the chess players in the club level. So we are playing with the white pieces, and I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to continue this position if you're playing with the white pieces? Okay, so maybe not, maybe yes. if you guys found the move knight into f7, that's the common mistake that many people do. King into f7, and the thing, let's try to sack the rook. Knight into, and now comes the move queen into g6, thinking that there should be some checkmate ideas. But after king d7, queen into knight, king d8, and the king is absolutely safe, and black is pretty happy. There's no problem. Like black is having a complete rook, so it's not good. Black is winning the game. Coming back a bit, if after knight into h7, white doesn't capture the pawn with the queen, but captures with the bishop. After king to e7, bishop into rook, rook into, queen check, king move takes. This position is still fine. White is having 3 pawns. For a bishop, it looks like, practically speaking, it looks good for white. But yeah, we are not completely sure that if we are able to win this position as white. But going to the initial position we have at the start, definitely this position should be winning for white. So at the place of knight into f7, if you try to play the move simply rook to e3, the idea is to simply play the move rook f3, rook h3, anything, trying to bring the final piece into the game. And after rook e7, something like this, we play the move queen f4, keeping the flexible options, queen d8, and now playing the move knight to g4, again keeping the flexible options. And after something like maybe h5, we can already play knight f6 check, king h8, it's mate in 1, and if king to g7, we simply play the move rook to g3, bringing up the final piece into the game. Knight into h5 is coming up, the game is over for black. So this is how you can play if your opponent plays the move h5. If the opponent plays a move like maybe f5, simply knight h6 check, king h8, and now simply queen e5 check, rook g7, and now simply knight f6 7 check. The rook cannot capture the knight because the rook is pinned up, and we can simply capture the queen on the next move. So this thing that I want you guys to remember. Like whenever there is a free attack versus a concrete sacrifice, try to go with the free attack, because attack with sacrifice always comes with a risk. You are definitely having some chances of risk that of you maybe sacrifice doesn't go in your way. So if you're not sure that your sacrifice is going to work 100%, try to make your position better by using a free attack, trying to bring a free piece into the game at the place of simply going for a sacrifice where you don't know that you are winning or not. So this is the important thing that many people are not aware of. They try to go for sacrifices that they themselves don't know that the sacrifice would work or not. Try to simply go for a free attack of rook e3 at the place of knight into f7. So you just must remember in the 6th diagram that the motive here is try to choose a free attack at the place of attack with sacrifice, which comes with a risk. So that's it for today. These were the 6 critical diagrams that can help you to attack your opponent in the game of chess. It's interesting, and I'm going to come up with these exciting videos like this. Many parts are remaining, many topics are remaining in order to attack your opponent's king. I'm going to see you soon. If you like the video, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel, because we are going to come up with these exciting videos like this. Many parts are remaining. So I'm going to see you soon. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Oneshot Chess.